move on to last night's European qualifiers. Enzo Maresca, he got his first win as Chelsea boss. They beat Servette 2-0 in the first leg of their Europa Conference League playoff. Incredible.
Didn't he look over the moon about it?
Europa League Conference playoff.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
And I thought you were going to come straight at me after what I said yesterday.
Yeah, well, there's still the second leg to come.
Yeah.
You fancy Servette?
Well,
Servette?
So I don't know how do you pronounce it? It's the French.
Servette.
It's the French part of Switzerland, I think. So it's Servette.
Oh right.
But I did say yesterday, and on a show that you weren't on, you may not have had a chance to listen to yet, and all your globe trotting. That I thought if they could keep it sensible last night, Servette, and they might have a chance. And I suppose when I thought,
but they did have a chance.
And
in fact, they had a lot of chances.
They had more chance in the first half than Chelsea did. It was 0-0 at half time.
Yep.
They got undone. I think they got a bit tired. They got a bit undone. Yeah. Obviously, goalkeeper gives away a penalty, and the second goal is a good quality goal from Noni Madueke. But I just wondered whether you guys think, based on what I said yesterday, is 2-0 in the first leg still sensible enough for them to do something?
I don't think so.
Now, what do you think, Andy?
If it had been 2-1 and they could have easily got one back at the end, would be talking. It's probably just a bit too much.
Yeah.
2-0, but they're definitely still in the tie.
This is how far Chelsea have fallen. They're in a Europa Conference League playoff, right? Not even the competition proper yet.
I don't even think it's a proper European competition.
And we are now discussing that Servette have lost the first leg 2-0 at Chelsea. Can Chelsea manage to get through? That's what you're discussing right now,
Servette are kind of like the opposite of Chelsea because they've got absolutely no money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they're all it's sold out at Servette the next leg. It's going to be a pumping atmosphere there.
I love it how you keep going on about this. It's going to be sold out.
Well, we know Swiss people are very passionate.
They are,
don't we? We know how partisan they can be.
That's right, and that'll elevate those players.
It will to big time. Look, I think, as Andy touched on a second ago, it is worth just taking a moment to digest how much Enzo Maresca is hating life at the moment.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine what he would have been like had they not won that game.
Well, I tell you what.
He treated the whole thing last night as a massive inconvenience, which, of course, for a club the size of Chelsea, it absolutely is.
He will be so relieved when the transfer window shuts. Be like someone having a house party and loads of people turning up unannounced, don't know who they are, and the last one of them leaves. Oh, thank goodness they've all.
Yeah.
No, but
they're not leaving, are they? You still got to see him on Monday.
You do, but I'm saying though that he doesn't have to do any more kind of pleasantries and meets and greets.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's the end of it. There's nobody new.
No more inductions.
No more inductions.
Here's your key fob.
Exactly.
Here's the Wi-Fi password.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Hi, I'm Enzo. You should know me by now.
That's what I don't understand. I think like a game like last night is a bit of an opportunity because they had 6 debutants. To me, that felt like quite a useful exercise.
Pedro Neto,
for
Keane
Chelsea.
and Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah, exactly. It felt to me like a really, really useful thing for Chelsea to be able to do, to get some players out there, get a bit of rhythm.
But when you spent 54 million on Pedro Neto, who's a very good operator and has played in the Premier League, he's not like some 19-year-old academy player who think, just give him some minutes in the Europa Conference League playoff first leg against Servette.
They've got to
Andy, please remember the context of this.
Yeah.
They've got to get used to playing together in a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, I guess
Fine.
so. But probably not, because he's not going to play again for another 6 weeks, is he? Because they've got to keep everyone happy.
No, the second leg's not 6 weeks, right?
That's true, yeah.
They might need him if they go goal down.
Do you think Chelsea fans listening to this are going to be like, when are they ever going to stop bagging on Chelsea?
We're only reporting what's happening.
Yeah, true.
So we wish them all the best.
Because my answer to that question is never.
Right.
Never, ever.
Something we can all get behind, though, is David De Gea playing a competitive game of football for the first time in 446 days. That's over a year, by the way.
Well over a year.
Well over a year. Fiorentina drew 3-3 with Puskás Academy, which is a shame because Puskás Academy is the sort of the plaything of
Viktor Orban,
Hungarian leader Viktor Orban.
And has he named? So he's basically put that club, quite a new club, in his hometown, and named him after the greatest Hungarian man ever.
Yes, there's a little bit more detail,
but that's basically it, isn't it?
That's the general.
Yeah.
Where in the town he put it is basically at the end of his garden. The stadium holds, I think, 3,500, which you might think is not that much. The population of the town's about, I think it's 1,700 people.
Bloody hell.
It's a beautiful, I've been there, it's a beautiful little stadium.
The amount of money he's poured into football is absolutely obscene.
He used a lot of the EU money for the train line that goes up to the stadium, which apparently gets very, very little use, Andy.
And why
isn't it funny the way it's framed as Puskás Academy? So people will see the result from a distance, have no idea of the context, and go, "Oh wow, this is a fairy tale." Them holding Fiorentina to a draw. It's actually quite a clever bit of marketing, isn't it?
It is, but it's a great result for them.
But why? Can I just? It is. What? Can I just ask why it's been so long since David De Gea? Why did it take David De Gea so long to find a club? It can't just have been salary, right?
No, because he's playing for about 10% of the money, 5-10% of the money that he played for at Manchester United.
And I understand that it fell apart from Man United, and his contract almost became a burden. Not for him, he's loving it, but to get a move somewhere else, and his form dropped off, of course. But to me, it feels like if your form drops off at Man United at the top end of the Premier League, you should be able to find somewhere to go pretty easily if you're going to be realistic about your salary expectations. And it is quite rare, not as rare for a goalkeeper, but it is quite rare to find a player who's playing at the top level, who's not that old for his position,
but goes out of the game and comes back a year
taken
later.
So long out.
You never
game.
know what's happening personally, though.
No, true. That's
You're
true.
right. That's true. But I wonder contractually, and the way contracts are, particularly with this generation of players, if this will happen like a little bit more, because he tested the market, he found that there was not the project, or maybe not the appetite to pay him just as much as he was being paid at Manchester United. And of course, I think it's more about the stature of club, really. I think you can tell now the fact that he's come back for this money, this amount of money. He's not motivated by the cash. But like last year, when he was getting offers, it's like you're walking out of United, where you've been, an incredibly important player for a very long time. You don't want to go to a mid-table club somewhere.
You can be picky and choosy.
But of course, goalkeeping has changed. So none of the really big clubs that he would have liked to move to really wanted him.
No, and I think as well, if you're offered to live in Florence for a bit, you can't be that's about right.
But he didn't have the best of debuts, did he?
Not the best, but there's still the second leg to come.
Exactly.
That's why you can't
go to that historic stadium at the bottom of Victor Orban's garden. That is dream stuff. That's what he said. I'll tell you what's happened. He's gone.
Actually, no. I should say that's the home in his own. Oh God, David, that's that's his house in his hometown that he obviously still has.
Right.
I'm not sure if maybe family of his, but obviously he doesn't live there because he's in the capital.
Yeah.
Where he lives now, right? I know it's nothing to do with football. So basically, Hungary's a republic and has been for a while, but it used to be a monarchy, as a lot of European countries did.
Yeah.
And they've got this fantastic palace up on the hill by the.
He's having that, is he?
And of course, it was a museum. And Orban basically went, no one's living in that.
No, I'll have that.
He now lives in the palace.
Wow.
You know what? This reminds me of when you what a piss take. When you arrive at Bucharest and you take the bus from the airport into town, you pass Gigi Bacali's house, and you'll ask me, how do you know which is Gigi Bacali's?
Because he's outside shooting.
You definitely know.
Right.
It looks like some sort of gingerbread monument. It's totally bizarre.
It's a bit like,
but he's not the Prime Minister of the country.
It's like Keir Starmer.
That is true.
It's like Keir Starmer going, I fancy the British Museum.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving any of the stuff
Tower
back.
of London. Like, do you know what I mean? Like something that's not been. It's absolutely. Anyway, we're getting on.
But I think what's happened with David De Gea is he said, I've been out the game long enough. I've got a chance here to make history and play against Puskás Academy, and I've got to do it.
And Florence has its own Magnum store as well.
There we go.
You can create your own Magnum.
You see,
that's amazing.
All those reasons. Yeah. All those reasons.
Known for high art, of course, Florence.
For me, the European ice cream of choice is the Maxibon. You don't get them here.
Is that not Australian?
Nah, it's European, big time.
Maxibon. The only reason I thought, because the voiceover was Australian when they used to market it here, that's all. But anyway.
We must move on.
We really must. Elsewhere in the Europa League, both Scottish sides lost. Yeah. Hearts conceded a very late winner away to Victoria Pilsen. Gutting, 96th minute
Big
goal.
Craig Gordon in the bins as well.
Yeah, that's right. Kilmarnock were beaten 2-0 by FC Copenhagen in Copenhagen. Darren McInnes wasn't happy with the referee.
No.
Very pissed off he was. Said it was harsh because it was a sort of late-ish penalty, and then they conceded again in deep.
And it's a tough draw for them to get FC Copenhagen.
Yeah, they were the second best team in that group, ahead of Galatasaray and Man United last year.
Yeah, I know, and then Kilmarnock drew them. It's difficult.
I mean, it's remarkable. But both Hearts and
Chelsea.
Yeah, both Hearts and Killie have got real big boy opposition there, and they bring it back to Scotland with still a chance.
Yeah.
I think you have to rate that, don't you?
You do. You certainly do, Andy. Now, to the Premier League. Brighton played Manchester United on Saturday. That's just tomorrow at 12:30. They get the Premier League underway. Of course, Brighton start the season fantastically, winning 3-0 at Goodison Park. They've got their new record signing, Jorginho Rutter, who's in the mix to start as well. So it's all looking pretty rosy down on the south coast with old Brighton.
It's ideal, just absolutely ideally set up for Man United to come rolling, the Man United Circus to come rolling into town. You see Eric Ten Hag coming over the hill, just walking down the street juggling. His head's painted completely white.
Well, lest we forget that
a big smiley face on. I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
Haven't finished yet.
Fine.
I was going to do a bit about the centre backs being on trapezes and all sorts. No, I ruined it now.
Okay, fine. Firing Scott McTominay out of a cannon.
Just get him down the end of the pier, doing a bit.
Yeah. Well, Manchester United, of course, much like Brighton, got 3 points and a clean sheet on their opening game.
Easy
season.
game for them, though.
Very, very comparable performances.
Easy draw for United on the opening day.
Well,
I was talking before we came in here about how you like a tenuous link.
Also ran Fulham.
You fancy Man United to finish fourth this season?
I do.
Lest we forget.
I think they'll do that annoying thing they tend to do where do you know the amount of times last season where all of us neutrals, when it comes to the top 3 or 4 teams in the Premier League, you go, right, Man United have got, I don't know, Burnley at home or whatever, and it's on telly, right? And you go, all week you go, this could be fucking good. They could get beat 3-0 at home. It'd be amazing. It'd be a massive car crash, and then they boringly win 1-0.
Well, it's just exactly what happened with Fulham.
Yeah, they do, and it seems like I got a feeling they might just completely shithouse themselves into the top 4.
No chance.
Well, I'm just saying it could happen.
I mean, I suppose the chance is the fact that there's United clubs with new managers and all that kind of stuff that would be hopefully competing.
Brighton's a big test because Brighton are a coherent, well-coached side.
They've hit the ground running.
Who seem to, despite a bit of upheaval in terms of the players and everything like that, the manager seems to, I mean, obviously we've only really seen one game, but the manager seems to be very, very clear-minded about what he wants to do. They play in a very coherent way. And Brighton went to, I know this is at the Amex, in which case Man United actually won the Amex last season, but Brighton won at Old Trafford last season. So
they did. And with Brighton, all the reports were saying in pre-season, everyone was really pleased how the manager had fitted in and the squad had gelled together. So we're now sort of seeing that.
Do you think they're signing so many players to basically block out all those tweets where people go, Fabian Hurtler was actually 9 years old when James Milner made his Premier League debut. Just give it a rest.
Buy some more players that are younger than him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this will never stop.
That's right.
This chat will never end.
And that's really what they're doing.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the money that Brighton have spent this summer and like the profile of player that they're getting, they're heading into a sort of different realm now. Now, I talked about this on the Ramble last season. The fact that they have got themselves a level of notoriety where clubs who are selling them players don't want to be those clubs who sell Brighton a player for 10, 15 million and then flip them for like 60.
Yeah. Or in Mike Moose's Casado's case, 100.
Yes. And it must make recruitment much more difficult for Brighton nowadays. I think some of that's reflected in the prices they've paid.
Yeah.
And I think that we can talk about pressure being on Manchester United. I actually tend to nudge towards the more optimistic end of Manchester United. I'm not convinced they'll make the top 4 this season, but I do think they're recruiting well and they're doing good business, I think, at the moment in terms of the players they're letting go as well. And it seems to me that I'm not convinced Ratcliffe is the answer at all, but I do think they're doing things a little bit more sensibly now, and the early signs are quite good, and they could get there eventually, like top 4 eventually. Brighton have got a very particular pressure on them, a pressure that's slightly caused by the market, but also slightly caused by the way they're choosing to interpret that market.
People know they got money though because of Moyes' Caicedo transfer alone.
Yeah.
A bit like with Liverpool when they sold.
That's part of the problem, isn't it? That's part of the problem.
Yes, people aren't foolish, or well, some of them are.
Yeah.
But Andy, you still talk about Manchester United doing better business and Sir Jim Ratcliffe perhaps not being the answer, which is fine. Well, I think to put those two things together, what do you think of his cost-saving measures? He's apparently got rid of the lunch boxes for match day staff.
Why is there so many stories coming out of one club about lunch boxes? Last season it was about Jadon Sancho's lunchbox and having to bring his own lunchbox in.
Yeah.
And now they've managed to find a way, 1 week into the season, to have another big story about them and lunchboxes.
I think this is, the club's agency staff were previously given a lunchbox which included a sandwich, cereal bar, bag of crisps and a soft drink.
You happy with that?
I'd be very happy with that, and I'm sure they were. So he's not breaking the bank.
What would you go, salt and vinegar?
Oh, no.
Cheese and onion?
Maybe, but I mean...
Do you think a proper serious owner would give you fridge raiders as well?
Yeah, Marcus loves a fridge raider.
I don't love a fridge raider.
You do like a fridge. I've seen you eating them.
I'm familiar with fridge
You're on nodding terms with a fridge raider.
Yeah.
What sandwich are you going for?
You know me, I'm sort of quite...
Ham and cheese?
Probably, yeah.
Cheese and onion crisps?
Yeah, I would rather than the salt and vinegar, and that's happened as I've got older.
What about soft drink?
Orange juice, or maybe something orangey.
A Fanta. Speaking of that, Marcus Rashford was actually spotted with the bigger juice.
He was with a bottle of bigger.
Where's Pete Dawson? Where's Pete Dawson?
Yeah, the only
He's been banging that drum for months.
Yeah. We'll get to the bigger juice in a minute.
That's bigger than Vardy swinging Red Bull, isn't it?
But Sir Jim Ratcliffe's come in and is basically acting like a dick, which is, I suppose...
But that's what I was going to say. Andy says,
this is going to annoy a lot of people.
Andy says Sir Jim Ratcliffe's not the answer. It depends what the question is. If the question is
who's the biggest bellend at Man United,
who's the biggest dick in Manchester, it might. Well, he probably wouldn't be him actually, but he's up there.
Well, yeah.
I'm not for 1 second defending Sir Jim Ratcliffe because this is utterly indefensible.
No one's saying that you're defending him, Andy.
However,
I might in a minute.
This is big football clubs all over. You might remember going back to like halfway through last season when PSG were putting the moves on Kylian Mbappe, trying to get him to extend his contract or leave.
Which they weren't paying him for.
Yeah, exactly. they actually went to him, well, if you don't sign a new contract and you leave for free, we might have to sack some admin staff.
Oh, really? That old chestnut.
It's the lowest of the low.
So bad.
When clubs do this with the lunchboxes and all this sort of stuff, it's just bollocks because the amount of money they save... It's not worth the publicity. It's not even peanut.
PR?
Yeah, exactly.
My favourite line from the story that you're referring to here on Ratcliffe's cost-saving measures at Man United is the following. Some workers have also claimed that they are being forced to eat in a toilet. They've set up a dining table next to 4 toilet cubicles, said one employee. You come out of the cubicle and someone is sat right in front of you eating.
Yeah, but Man United said that they've offered them another room. But some of the staff are choosing to go and eat there.
Yeah.
How bad is that room? Is it like thick mould around it?
That room's full of actual human shit.
Yeah. But it's your room.
Yeah, we gave you it for free.
Are they not taking cover because the kitchen is 1-star?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's probably it.
We're not going in
the
there.
chicken.
There's raw chicken everywhere.
It's just piss poor. It's piss poor.
And when Andy says it's not worth making these cost-saving measures because of the bad PR they get out of it, I like being part of the bad PR they get.
Very much so. Yeah, we want to keep that going. Well, I mean, look, we will talk actually about clubs and money and how they try and save money and increase prices on the mailbag, I believe, which will be out tomorrow. So,
you could have just said general skinflintery.
We're talking about goalkeepers as well. I mean, talking a bit about Manuel Neuer tomorrow as well. Follow up on the David De Gea chat from earlier.
So get involved. Now, Manchester United players did enjoy a team bonding night out this week, just minutes away from the PFA Awards were happening, which of course Man City players were very much a part of. Man United players, they went to what was described as
doing our own awards, and the winners get a fortune cookie, and it's actually much better because there's a message inside that makes you feel good.
Thank you, Eric. They went to what was described as a plush Chinese restaurant called Tattoo. It wasn't Wings.
No,
there's another player on the board.
Okay, they didn't even just do a rival party like 200 yards away. They did it at a place that wasn't Wings.
I know.
Oh my God.
Maybe Louis van Gaal was in Wings. We're not going there.
Chinese restaurants are the big leveler in football, aren't they? It seems to be people always seem to go to those Chinese restaurants.
But Wings really is the one that gets the...
But it always seems to be Chinese food, is what I'm saying.
Do you think?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a more low percentage play. I'm not sure everyone likes Chinese food, do they?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Maybe it's, I don't know, is it
the big leveler is Nando's. Everyone likes Nando's. You can pick what you want from Nando's.
Chinese doesn't seem like a takeaway Chinese sort of thing. Doesn't seem like a cornerstone of a footballer's diet.
No.
To me.
Grealish likes it.
Pete Dawson... testament to that.
And Pete's the most sort of certainly off-field, most sort of professional footballer type.
Yeah, of course,
out of all of us.
Of course, pizza after games is something that's considered very useful.
Yeah.
I after the German Super Cup last weekend, I interviewed Nathan Teller, and he came out of the dressing room holding a piece of pizza.
Nice.
And
Like, do you think it was like Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Did you go radical, dude?
Well, he was just chewing away, and he's like, I don't even like pizza.
Right.
So I think he's put up on it. It did kind of look like.
Give him a flatbread.
It did.
Did you give him some of your sourdough, Andy?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, always got sourdough.
Yeah.
No, but it kind of looked like, it didn't look like great pizza either. It looked like Power League pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Really?
Bit floppy.
Yeah.
Well, the Man United players were there. As you mentioned earlier, Marcus Rashford was holding a bottle of Bigger.
Yeah. Which Peter was delighted about.
It's basically like Jamaican fizzy pop.
Yeah, it's really sugary.
It's it's a colour that you just
Put it this
doesn't
way,
exist.
Pete brought a case of it into the office.
Case.
And none of the employees who are all under 30 have touched it.
No, I drank a few gulps. I have a
too much
sweet.
for you,
It
isn't
was
it?
just like, no, thank you.
My son had a look at it in the fridge when he came in, and even Pete stepped in and goes, "No, not for you."
Yeah, we left it outside, and when it was that really hot day, it just exploded. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, talking of dinner in the Manchester area, Pep Guardiola took Mr. Gundogan out for dinner at
That's
his
Ilkay
restaurant.
Gundogan, not his dad. You made
Yeah.
it sound like it was his dad.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember his first name for a moment. He took
Is
Ilkay Gundogan out for dinner at Pep's restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pep
right.
owns a restaurant.
He does. Of course.
Imagine if Man United players turned up there and forgot.
Yeah.
What we've done. Well, we booked a table now.
Yeah.
I thought what had happened here is like Pep booked out wings for just the two of them.
No.
Probably. No, he's got his own restaurant.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
So
He's going back to Manchester City, isn't he, Gundogan?
he is, yes.
Fascinating move.
The old
that.
Ilkay.
That's great.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. So
You'd be loving, if you were Holland or Doku or whoever else, you'd be loving receiving all the stories from Barcelona. Wouldn't you? You would love it.
I think you would. Right. Before we go to our bet, what about Cristiano Ronaldo launching his own YouTube channel this week?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it.
What do you think?
Well, it's all in Spanish that I saw.
Right.
So
Is he very honest and open?
no, it's very glossy.
Yeah.
I have to say the production values are very, very high.
Too high.
Probably, yeah. It's not that relatable. But the video I saw was him and his wife, and they were doing like a Mr. and Mrs. type thing.
Okay.
But it was all in Spanish with obviously with subtitles, and but it was nicely put together.
Yeah.
And I noticed that despite it being
Spanish, not Portuguese.
yeah, that particular video was in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Presumably for his wife, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
And also I think because maybe it's for the audience, I suppose.
Bigger audience
Yeah.
worldwide, Andy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not bigger. No, bigger weren't involved. But I noticed after I think 3 or 4 days of it being launched, it had 20.2 million subscribers, which is just phenomenal, isn't it?
You've got to do something post-football.
I just thought to myself, what a revenue stream!
Oh,
Fantastic!
It
Good on
does
him.
feel like he's come to he's come to YouTube a little bit
you
late.
got to say MySpace.
I was going to say it's like when Luke was advocating for MySpace.
I
Really.
was. It was like 16 years ago. Andy, it's not remotely similar, is it?
MySpace is the future. I just imagine like George Mendes having gone on and gone, Cristiano, YouTube is the future.
Yeah, I just
and I'm
heard
going,
YouTube.
right, I'm terrified, so just let's start a channel, whatever. If you'll stop talking about it, we can start a channel.
Each video looked like it cost about £500,000 to make.
All right, coming up after the break, we've got Villa versus Arsenal, Palace and West Ham, and some more pitch pissing. See you in a moment.
You better get your finger out, all right, and make sure that you get the fucking results.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. We've had an email from Michael McGarry, who says this. Just to add to the chat about pissing on the pitch that you guys did on Wednesday, a player was caught short during the semi-final of the Irish Cup in 2020. Colerane's Owen Bradley needed to relieve himself before the start of extra time, and while the ref didn't see it initially, it was caught on live TV and caused some uproar on X, or I believe it would have been Twitter at the time.
Formerly Twitter, yeah.
Yeah. So the Irish FA decided that this counted as bringing the game into disrepute and handed him a retrospective 6-game ban. Now, it's
6 games.
Yeah. Now, so he was sort
Have
of.
you seen the footage, though?
Yeah.
He's basically got his whole cock out on telly.
But that's.
I don't think you could do that.
But it's not been VAR'd technically.
No, I know.
It's been caught on.
So
the,
you're saying he didn't even turn his back?
Yeah, but if you go to a bar or like lamp someone or whatever, and it doesn't get caught on VAR,
Yeah.
you're still a footballer potentially bringing the game into disrepute.
I'm. this is live TV that's caught him by the laws
Let
of the
me tell
game.
you something now, right?
Yeah.
If he's desperate to go for a wee,
Yeah.
I think he should be accommodated to be able to do that.
Right.
I'm sure there are protocols in place where he can.
Yeah.
He probably just didn't want to get off the pitch and miss the start of the kickoff or whatever. But I cannot emphasise this enough. If you want to Google his name and the incident, you can see it for yourself, those listening. He gets his penis out on live telly and starts taking a piss.
Yeah, but it's not his fault that the game was on telly.
That's true, actually.
We
yeah.
were so
They should have
last.
someone to pixelate it.
So last Pete and I, because you didn't hear on Wednesday, last Pete and I was saying that a player in Peru was
you
sent
said at the
off.
corner flag, yeah.
Yeah, he did the corner flag and he had a little wee. And I was thinking, this is ridiculous. And then having thought about that, if you actually made pissing okay and suddenly like 6 players just went, hang on, and
Yeah.
you'd go, I see what you mean. I do see a 6-game ban. I mean, yeah, there's the he's trying to be discreet, to be fair. The TV cameras have gone in on that.
They've zoomed in on
I
that,
think I think the director in the gallery should be given a ban.
I mean, he looks like a pissing dog,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I mean,
I know what you're saying.
6 game is a lot.
You can't open the floodgates and there be piss everywhere. You can't have 10 players taking a piss.
6 game ban.
Speaking of opening the floodgates, I
Yeah.
mean, do you think you get less of a ban for wetting yourself?
That's what I'm thinking. I was
Yeah, but
thinking
that's what we were saying, weren't we? That is the hack. If you wet yourself, you're not going to get sent
I'm
off.
pretty sure, like competitive marathon runners, they'll just piss their pants. You know,
Yeah, but
just
they're
get
a
on with
dirty
it.
bunch, aren't they? Anyway, Michael,
Thanks for Michael. Let us know.
Michael says we need to normalise pitch pissing. It's only natural.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, this is, what could have happened if we had applied this logic to Gary Lineker back in the day
Yeah.
when he shit himself on the pitch.
No, we're not talking about shit.
No, but I'm saying he should have got probably a life ban.
No, because he did it to himself.
Yeah, but it's much worse than taking a piss.
No, but he's not sort of taken a crap on the pitch.
Do you
has
want
he?
Gary Lineker to get a life ban or not?
Not for that, no.
Okay, but you do, Jeremy.
I think
Hey, the BBC have suffered enough this week.
They have.
The problem is you can't really do it at a Premier League level because, of course, a lot of the teams now have hybrid pitches, don't they?
Yeah.
Where you have like
Deso
an
grass.
artificial, you have an artificial base with real grass sewn into the top. I think the logistics of pissing on that are not.
Let's put some bogs around the pitch side.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah, I think that's probably the
trench
nice-
urinals.
God,
That's taking the game forward.
Imagine when
isn't it?
Sol Campbell did that big slide tackle and he just went all the way through a massive urinal. Wouldn't be ideal, would it?
Oh, dearie
Yeah.
me. Kevin Keegan's down there washing his hands with the urinal cake. No, Kevin. Anyway, right, let's move on. Saturday.
I have my leg broken and I'm covered in piss.
5:30 p.m. Aston Villa host Arsenal, and of course, big Unai side did the double over Arsenal last season, which some say cost them the league, Andy.
What cost them the points?
Cost them the points.
For sure.
I mean, Arsenal did drop 4 points to Fulham as well last season.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
points mean prizes, and they didn't quite have enough. So, big game for Arsenal. This would be a big statement, wouldn't it? It would be a psychological win other than a normal win if they could beat Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think this is big for either team, and it feels strange to say such a game like this is so big already. And I think it's more, I agree, psychologically rather than in terms of the points, because I think after the summer that a lot of these players have had, I think there will be a few more slips than normal in a lot of the European leagues. I don't think a lot of them will be like 90-point winners this season to these leagues, with maybe the odd exception. And I think the Premier League probably falls into that. I think probably high 80s will do it this season. But just as it would be a huge boost for Aston Villa, I think for Arsenal to go out there and dig out a result, if they could win convincingly, knowing that Villa are competitive, that Villa are serious, that they got themselves a good start as well in every which way at West Ham. Like, there's everything to win for both sides, I think, in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a really big test for Arsenal, and it's come perhaps a bit earlier in the season than they would have liked, but they have a chance here to put something right. And if you think of what Arteta's kind of been like with his management style already, he's very much about the kind of narrative and the kind of rewriting the book and going together, and I think he'll probably be presenting this as a massive opportunity to show they have improved against a team they struggled last season. But if you look at Aston Villa's lineup, the probable first 11 for them, it's a really good team.
Yeah,
it's like a really good team, and it's a proper examination for Arsenal. This is a tea time treat. I mean, if you're looking forward to watching the football this weekend, Saturday tea time, this is an absolute belter of a game. It's going to be fascinating to watch. And it'll maybe offer a little bit of insight into whether Arsenal do need to strengthen in certain areas, because there's talk they're still going to bring a player or two in. And we talked about Ivan Toney yesterday, didn't we? Probably won't be him. Someone was saying, by the way, not to change the subject too much, but when we were talking about Ivan Toney as it relates to Arsenal yesterday, Marcus, I had someone message say that apparently Ivan Toney met with Arteta and Edu.
Did he?
And the meeting didn't go very well at all. And that's where the interest trailed off. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, we sort of insinuated this sort of thing.
So
that's like a modern day Vardy, if you like.
Yeah, I guess so. Who did Vardy meet? Arsenal. Did he meet Arsenal?
Yeah,
Well, they just didn't like him.
He was really close to going there. Well, that was
They've
slightly
gone down in my
different 'cause
estimation if they didn't like Vardy.
he decided not to go.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But in terms of a sliding door, very good Premier League striker that could have ended up, and that was maybe his one chance to end up at an enormous Premier League club, and it just passed.
To me, the big area of interest specifically is if you look at what Amadou Onana was able to do against West Ham and how he's hit the ground running after his move from Everton. He's such a good midfield player. And that midfield area has obviously been traditionally very strong for Arsenal. So that battle will be fascinating because he'll have Tielemans and McGinn around him. Obviously, Partey will be in there. That'll be a big battle. But Partey's got got Rice and Odegaard either side of him. So to me, it's it's the most exciting game of the weekend, I would say.
And obviously, Emi Martinez coming up against the former club. Always our eyes on that man. He signed a new deal with Aston Villa until 2029.
Yeah.
Good bit of business.
I also saw on the other side of the ledger, I saw that Aaron Ramsdale might be off to Southampton.
Yes.
Which we talked about a bit yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, he's not going to go to Wolves. Is that because of the controversy last week? He's worried that someone might put their finger up his bum.
Maybe. Or the fact that he's a West Brom fan. Which might not go down too well. Not that that's got anything to do with putting a finger up your bum.
Well, we are talking about Wolves defender Yerson Mosquera, by the way.
Yeah.
And he was the one who had
disgraceful.
He had his hand on Kai Havertz's throat, but that was deemed to be he was stopping himself falling. It was just that was the landing place.
He hit me right on the fist with his eye.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but if ever I sort of fall and stuff, I always look for a human throat.
Same.
To sort of break my fall.
It's the best way to break your fall.
But he also, it appeared that he sort of squeezed and...
How would you describe it? I'm going to say infiltrated.
Yeah, really not good.
Yeah.
On
so
Gabriel Jesus'
when you wake up in the morning, you do all your morning routine, you're about to leave the house, and the last thing you do is put your wedding ring on.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but with a ring piece.
But what
that's what he did.
I can't imagine that. And I won't.
It was. I thought. Joking aside. I thought. To be fair to me, I thought that's a ban. That looks like a ban to me.
I think it's. He's lucky if that's the end of it.
It will be the end of it. I don't think they're going to investigate it, but it looked bad to me.
It was the end of
I hope you're
Gabriel
not speaking
Jesus.
for him at the disciplinary hearing.
You don't want me defending him.
No, certainly not.
Yeah.
Well, Dermot Gallagher, former Premier League referee, said of the Gabriel Jesus incident, they want to take the free kick and he's trying to move him out the way. Right call.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a bowling ball, is he, Andy?
The way he's thinking about it is, do you remember, was it last season where I think Foden was the draft excluder in the behind the Manchester City wall, and Ruben Dias picked him up and shifted him.
Yeah, that was funny.
He's thinking of it like that. Very, very different. But I think he's thinking of it like that.
The amount of times I hear from a referee or an ex-referee or a refereeing professional, and my instinctive reaction is to say to them, do you want to look at that again?
Yeah.
It's remarkable, really.
You just switched off from this whole thing.
You know when Paul Merson, and I've got no beef for Paul Merson, I think he's a great character, but it takes him about 50 to 60% longer to work out what's happening than the average viewer.
Yes.
Right, just because of the way his brain worked, yet somehow he's still on TV. That's what I feel like with refereeing.
Don't be harsh on Merson.
I like Merson.
Get him on Strictly Come Dancing.
But can I just say that Ramsdale to Southampton does kind of make sense when you take into account that Gavin Bazunu's got an ACL.
Yes.
And so it'd be a place where he could go in and instantly start and play games, which presumably is what he wants.
I suppose, though, isn't it weird how Ramsdale took this huge step up and initially it went really well at Arsenal, and now he's potentially going back to that bit on the bubble where he was before, where he's kind of, be at Bournemouth for a bit and then be at Sheffield United for a bit. And
but the reality is, I mean,
it's a shame.
It is a shame for him. And I obviously want him to do well. It's important. It'd be great as an England fan. It'd be great to have as many good quality, top quality England keepers as possible. But I think the reality is he's not good enough to play for a top four club. And so maybe he's not quite as bad to be playing for a relegation threatened team or a promoted team, but there's nowhere else that will take him at the moment.
Well, I don't know. I think we've got a relatively small sample size, and it's not like he committed a series of heinous errors that made a lot of people thought it was harsh when David Raya was brought in, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think we have to put that into context. I think the other thing is, though, what you were talking about him playing for a relegation threatened team. I mean, Jordan Pickford has underlined that playing for a relegation threatened team isn't necessarily going to threaten your England chances, is it?
No, I don't think it will at all.
Maybe Lee Carsley thinks of things differently, but perhaps not.
Yeah, I think you'd definitely have to say that if Ramsdale was playing every single game last season for, say, Nottingham Forest, who stayed in the Premier League, it's not going to do his England chances any harm whatsoever.
No, I think with Ramsdale, I think that going to Southampton, it's a chance. He's on loan, isn't he? So
is that definitely happening? Is it?
Well, if it does,
it
happen,
looks like it's happening.
I think the bottom line is he can't have another season like last season.
No, certainly not. He's got to play.
That's it.
He's still a young keeper, so let's assume he does go to Southampton, because that's what the reports are suggesting. You go there, you put in a good solid performance. Whatever happens, whether they go down or they stay up, and really, I think Ramsdale try and get a permanent move to a more sort of solid mid-table kind of Premier League club. I would see that. Again, you've mentioned Jordan Pickford there. Well, absolutely. So anyway, let's move on to Crystal Palace versus West Ham, Saturday 3 p.m. West Ham were top of our picks for dark horses this season. It wasn't mine. It was actually Palace.
No, yours was Palace. Mine was West Ham.
But West Ham seemed to have a bit of goodwill with regards to that. They had a poor start against Aston Villa last weekend, although Villa are a good side as well. So, what can Julian Lopetegui come up with against Crystal Palace, who themselves didn't have a good start, obviously losing to Brentford? Andy, we haven't heard your say since the season started about West Ham and Julian Lopetegui. What do you think of it all so far?
Well, the recruitment's good, I think, but it's going to take a while to settle them all down. I mean, I don't think last week was shambolic by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think but it will take time. It's funny, actually, we've just been talking about Aaron Ramsdale. I kind of wonder whether West Ham could do with an upgrade in goal. You look at Adeola, who has not played an enormous amount of games in the last 4 or 5 years, and I didn't think was great in that opening game. Again, just
he's
one
a decent
game.
Keeper, though. I mean,
but I don't know. Decent. I don't know. Is he really top level? Like the difference between him and an Emi Martinez, for example, is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he's better than Fabianski?
The thing is, I don't know if he is. I wonder if you're going for him because he's younger.
Just Fabianski must be pushing 40 now, right?
Yeah, because he's the future. But yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you would fancy things to kind of get a bit better at West Ham under Lopetegui. I mean, what can they look forward to, Andy, playing under him? Because really, Wolves is probably the sample size that a lot of people would be using.
And they had a love-hate relationship with David Moyes, and they wanted to move on from that.
Yeah.
So what have they landed up with?
Well, I think they'll move more possession-based. There's no doubt about that. It's not the most innovative, exciting appointment, but I do think it is a pretty solid one. But of course, because of that Wolves thing and because of the David Moyes thing, he needs to get his team to at least intermittently entertain sooner rather than later.
Yes.
That's the issue, because it felt that West Ham were a bit stuck. Now, of course, the Conference League title took the view off that and really covered Moyes for an extra season.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people think he was hard done by in the way he left at the end of last season. I personally don't agree with that. I think maybe he should have left after winning the Conference League.
I said that at the time.
That covered up the fact that they spent an enormous amount of money to have not a particularly good league campaign. You know, they had some good players in there, and in the Premier League really underachieved.
Well, it's funny with Moyes, just to jump in, the European jaunts were pretty successful.
Yeah.
As was the case when he was Man United manager. They got the way to the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, give Moyes the England job.
I'd also
He's
say
really the Scottish Ancelotti.
Yeah,
I think you'd say.
Yeah. They also continue to spend after Lopetegui come in, and I think on balance, when you look back on the Moyes era, you have to credit what he achieved in Europe, of course, but you also have to understand, and I think we covered this at the time, but just to very, very briefly kind of re-up it. West Ham fans are entitled to say, look at all these amazing players we've got, and we're still playing like an absolute bunch of turds.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
totally.
Like, we're still playing really bad football. And I know they lost at home to Aston Villa on the opening day, but they had more of the ball. They had Kudos played, Paquetá played, Bowen played, Antonio played. You know, they've got other exciting forwards as well. You know, Somerville, Fulkrug, and obviously Ward-Prowse came on. They've got loads of really exciting players that can actually do stuff. So it does seem to be reasonable to me to want them to at least show what they're capable of. That said, if you end up playing quite nice football, have more of the ball, but then lose at home every game, it kind of defeats the object. So they have got to start moving. I mean, we're only one game in, but they have got to start moving and prove it. And going to Palace, they need to be looking to take advantage of all the uncertainty at Selhurst Park.
Well, indeed, yeah. I mean, apparently the Mark Gay move is edging closer to him going to Newcastle United.
I think Mark Gay, he deserves better than having one of these sagas that we have in the transfer window.
But I'm sure it's not him, though.
It's not him, but he deserves to better than to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, indeed.
Stick to your Carlos Tevez's, that kind of stuff.
I think the thing that we have to remember is one of the things that really signalled the definite end of Moyes last season is in the run-in, West Ham getting absolutely battered at Palace. In the end of last season, of course, Palace were really in their flow then. They still had Elise at that point, so of course that makes a difference. But I think West Ham will really want to get over that hump, certainly.
And they'll have to stop Jean-Philippe Mateta, of course, Andy. Who's had quite the time of it since you wrote him off around February.
I did not write him off.
I'll put a note here, Andy. Let's give Andy his own section to talk about Jean-Philippe Mateta today.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so since February last season, 13 goals in Palace's final 12 league games, and also was a big part of France winning a silver medal at the Olympics. Are you going to apologise?
Are you going to apologise, Jean-Philippe? You can do it in French if you want. You can do it in his native French if you want. Say something.
I
regret nothing.
Love it.
You should at least sung it. You should at least sung that one. Andy, I think you
know it's hard to get me to sing on this pod, right?
It is very hard. You need to start fronting up and apologising for the massive, colossal errors of judgment you are continually making on this podcast, Andy. It's starting to get a bit embarrassing, mate.
See, you know what I feel like? I feel like this is what Keir Starmer's going to feel like when Nigel Farage is in Parliament.
Just throwing it back at me. It's not about me, Andy.
To be fair, that was a good dig.
It's about you not being able to judge a player.
Yeah, that'll be it.
That'll be it.
What has he done to improve himself, Andy? He just found his form. He's suited to the Premier League.
Fit playing regularly. And having creative players around him.
I think somebody wrote down what Andy said about him, put it up above his seat in the dressing room and went, come on, prove him wrong.
I can't read that.
Now it's time for this.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopedia of football.
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
We've got some great categories this week.
That's good.
We did have an opening weekend victory for Vish. It's a chance for Luke Nation redemption.
Come on, Luke Nation.
His
Get around me.
old foe, Marcus Speller.
Rally round
in the
me.
second round of the season.
Before we start, Marcus, would you concede in the gentlest possible terms that I perhaps got the best of you last season?
I can't remember.
Okay, that's the class you're dealing with. That's the level of class. No respect. He's like. I tell you what, he's like Novak Djokovic.
Oi.
Are you feeling the Farage vibes from him now?
Very much.
I'm Federer.
Yeah.
I'm Federer. He's Djokovic.
You're Federer. Unbelievable. McEnroe.
I'm fucking Tim Henman. I'm Tim Henman's dad.
Tiger Tim. There we go.
Come on, Andy.
You're Federer. I'm Gavin Rossdale. Then. Right. You know how it goes. Yeah. What a great mention.
Jeremy Bates up in here. Nice. That's good.
You know how we go. It's a simple game of categories. If you go too slow, I'll play Gary Neville's orgasm, which will leave you 7 seconds. Now, the first section today, last season's top 18 Premier League goal scorers.
Top 18?
Top
and who's
18.
first, Marcus or me?
Marcus is going to lead us out the gate. So give me one.
I'll have Erling Haaland.
I think he might just about be in there.
Bravo.
Ollie Watkins.
Dominic Solanke.
Good one.
Gills.
I suspect, even though he's been quiet-ish of late, Mo Salah's got to be in there still.
Gotta be in there. Suddenly the mind goes blank, doesn't it?
Dear.
Oh, very dear. I will have... Who will I have?
It's Torres!
I'm sorry, I'm being harsh this season.
Surely Darwin Núñez is in there as well.
The headline has been written.
It's a bad start.
So I need to get one, right?
Yes, you do.
I've got 4.
It's really poor, that.
You don't need to give 4. You just need to give 1.
All right, Jarrod Bowen.
There we go.
There we go. Point to Luke.
Can't believe
The other
Darwin
three I
Núñez.
had were Cole Palmer, Son, and Jan Visser scored a lot of goals last season, I remember.
Yes, correct. You also could have had Phil Foden, Nicholas Jackson,
Oh.
Matheus Cunha, Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Yeah,
Just
the
talking about
aforementioned,
JP,
the
weren't we?
aforementioned.
Hwang Hee-chan,
Oh, yeah.
Chris,
Can't believe Núñez wasn't
Chris Wood,
Chris Wood, yeah.
Bukayo Saka, or Alexander Isak.
I think with
got
Darwin,
20 goals for Newcastle last season.
I think
didn't
Darwin
in there. Right, in
Núñez.
Europe.
I think Núñez is one of those players in the headlines a lot, but does he
Yeah.
actually get that many
Yeah,
goals?
yeah,
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
it? Well, there we go.
Bad start for me.
Great start for Luke Nation, though.
Yeah.
We're going to take it more current, though. This should
Right.
be fresh in your mind. Category 2, all 20 players who scored on the opening match day of the 2024-25 Premier League season. So last
week.
weekend.
Okay, fucking hell.
Luke,
Right.
you are going to lead us out the gate, please.
I don't know why this sticks in my mind, but I'm pretty sure Jan Visser scored.
Yeah.
So that's the second mention for him.
I'll have Jamie Vardy.
Lovely one. And if he's having Vardy, I'm having Pedro Porro.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. I will have.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League.
Mitoma.
The headline has been written.
Correct.
First name? No, not doing that now.
It's Andy's in charge.
All right. In which case, I'll go for Mo Salah.
Oh, yeah, so he did. I'll have Diogo Jota.
Nice. That's the problem with this. So you give
Yeah,
someone a clue, don't
that's
you?
right.
The one. This is a tactical one. The one Marcus is likely to get next is Xerxes.
I love knowing how your strategy works.
Very good.
And I'll give you a little insight, Marcus. I've got one more, and that's it.
How we doing?
I'll have Kai Havertz.
Oh, very good.
Good.
Amadou Onana scored.
Are you sure that's his name?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My name's not even Andre. You get me?
You didn't even need the first name this time, ironically.
I know. You let us off.
Yeah, I
very,
do.
very lenient.
I do.
I will also have.
Where's that button? I'd love to hear that button.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline has been written.
Bukayo Saka. I couldn't remember who scored the other one. Oh, it was Saka.
Fucking hell.
Yes.
It was Saka.
From nowhere. That's so rare getting it that late.
That's the latest we've had a correct
It must
answer in the
be.
countdown.
It must be.
It might be. It might be. Great work. He's still alive.
Joe Linton.
Oh, that's a lovely one.
Good. How are we doing?
It's Torres
Not great.
to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League
Lucas Paqueta.
Oh, fucking hell.
See, I even let him off with a mispronunciation there.
so
Thank
good.
you, Andy.
So good.
My pleasure.
That's brilliant, Marcus. Well done.
You've not had one of these yet, have you?
Erling Haaland.
Oh, blimey, yeah.
I didn't get to do one that time.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, has he said that one?
This is very good, by the way. This is low-key very, very good.
Good standard, isn't it?
Yes.
Mateo Kovacic.
Oh, you fucking fan. Every time I give one, it gives you a clue because it's the same game. Jeez.
Do you want me to play the countdown now for that reason? I can if you want.
I'm completely out. So we're going to go to it. I think we're going to go to the decider.
Torres.
Although Marcus has to get one because I went first.
in the Champions League.
You're not going to give me one. You've still got 5 left.
John Duran.
Oh,
Put me out of my misery. I couldn't remember. Brentford.
I already said Visser for Brentford.
No, but the other scorer I knew I couldn't.
I fucking remembered.
This is what
Welbeck
that-
scored, didn't he?
Brian and Burmo.
Mbuemo. I couldn't remember Mbuemo's name.
Welbeck scored, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did for
Yeah,
Brighton.
Welbeck, Chris Wood, Antoine Semenyo,
Yeah.
and Simon Adingra.
Ah, okay.
That was a very good
Adingra's
round. Well done,
We're
fellas.
going to a decider.
We are
Shit.
going to a decider.
I had a better performance in the first bloody round.
Yeah.
There you go. 1-1. All to play for going into category 3. The 12 most followed footballers on Instagram.
Oh, bloody Nora.
Some of them aren't still playing.
Okay, including retired players.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So that,
And
that
it's Marcus first, isn't it?
it is Marcus first.
Which one do you want? I'll go for Ronaldo. Cristiano.
Okay. I mean, I suppose Lionel Messi has to be in there.
Neymar.
Good. I mean, the reason I asked if it's retired players as well, because presumably David Beckham's in there, is he?
Yeah. This is a tricky one.
There's still a few biggies you're missing.
Yeah.
Don't give him clues, Andy.
Yeah, but surely there's biggies. Surely there's biggies.
That's not a clue.
They're all big. They're the biggest people on Instagram.
Mo Salah.
Got to be. Kylian Mbappe?
Yeah, well played. Blimey.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a
Vinicius Junior. Yeah.
So I've got to get one.
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to take a bit of a flyer here, and it's not quite going to be as dramatic as David Icke if it's right. I've got a feeling, because I spend probably more time on Instagram than Marcus, I think Zlatan might be in.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Oh no, Luke Moore wins.
Yeah.
Well played. That was a close game. That was very close.
Very good. Just to put you out of your misery on the other ones. Karim Benzema. I didn't believe you didn't get him. Marcelo, Paul Pogba, Ronaldinho, and Sergio Ramos. I mean, what would Instagram be without Sergio Ramos pulling a tyre up his drive?
Is that what he does?
My next guess after Zlatan, if Marcus got another one, was going to be Jude Bellingham, and I would have been wrong. So
You would have been
he's
wrong.
massive on Insta, so I can't believe how big these other guys are.
Well, how about that, everybody?
Thanks, Andy.
Luke Moore wins.
Thank you for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload. A single upload. Don't miss out on the uploads. The uploads are important.